Okay, so I just want to go on a bit of a rant about modern gaming and our ability as gamers to choose to vote with our wallets. So when you choose to buy something, you are participating in the market. And when you choose to withhold your buying power and spend it on other things, or to save it and invest it in other things, regardless of if it's actually like investing in, property or in a bank account, but you're investing it in something else that you deem worth spending it on. And as a gamer, you have the ability to choose not to purchase things, to not give companies your money or your attention or your, like, any type of energy. You can just ignore them, or you can become an activist and try to fight them and combat them, or you can choose to play other types of games. Like, there are other solutions to the issue if you don't agree with the current state of gaming or current trends that are happening. And it's interesting because there's a fear where I don't want the gaming to go a certain way. And so I understand people's reactions to things happening in the gaming industry where it's like, yeah, people are going to speak out against this stuff. And companies are going to try to get their investments one way or the other. And if there are rewards for, including microtransactions into their games, because it gets them more investment and more opportunities to make money as CEOs and things like that, then they're going to try to do that. But we have the ability as consumers, as individuals, to choose to participate or not participate. And there's a stress that comes as a result of that, because it's like, well, I want to enjoy video games and I want to test the new stuff and I want to see the new things that are out there, but I also don't want to be advertised to constantly. I don't want to have to sign into like a million different accounts before, even though I own a console and I already bought the console, and now I have to like log in through 3 different things in order to be able to play a game on that console. Like, at some point it becomes convoluted and it becomes not even worth the effort. And then if you're like, saying that you don't want to participate in this stuff and you're choosing not to, that's a form of activism in itself, because you're choosing to not act, which is an action. But we need to vote with our wallets. If you want to support something, definitely buy it and buy multiple copies of it. If you want it physically, buy 2 physical copies just to have, if you have that disposable income, or wait for sales to buy stuff when you want to test them out. Or if you like, you're the dictator of your own money. Like, I'm not trying to like pocket watch, but I'm just saying, like, if you really enjoy a series or a game that's coming out or has came out in the past and you want to support the developers, like, definitely buy games. But if there are questionable tactics that are being used and there's an overarching scene happening and emerging, we need to make decisions to not support studios and not support developers and not support companies that are making this stuff. And there is always going to be the whales and the people who are in there and who like the microtransaction scene because it gives them an element of superiority, because they have things that other people can't get without, buying that battle pass and plugging in all the hours into this thing. And it just is really stupid that video games become about status where it's cool if that's like your niche and that's the area of gaming that you're into, but from like my perspective it looks like you're stupid. But like I understand that it looks like from their perspective I'm just some guy who peddles retro games all the time and like reviews old games. So it's like I get, like, I am open to criticism also. So like I'm never gonna be mad that somebody doesn't like the way that I view gaming or the way that I play video games. But I'm also able to not participate in things that I don't agree with. So like, for instance, let's say Jedi Survivor comes out and it doesn't perform well. And you have to wait for patches and stuff. It's like, well, you don't have to wait, but like I chose to wait. I chose to wait for it to get patches so it was in a playable state. And I chose to wait until the game was down to an acceptable price for me. I mean, it's like, yeah, I have to wait to play that game like over a year. And it's okay. Like if it's on sale now, it's on sale for like $29. It's like, well, that's worth a try for me. Like for me to wait a year and then see if that game is something that I want and if it's going to perform, if it's going to be able to hit those marks that I'm looking for, 1080p, 60 frames per second. Like if it's, 1440 and 30 frames per second, that's okay also. But like if it's not capable of doing these things, like I am not going to pay $70 for that. And I won't even pay 70 period. But like, that's my choice. I'm not telling everybody that that's how they should be viewing it. People should take it on a case-by-case basis and don't just accept what companies are throwing at you, because if you hold out, they have to discount it because they're not selling enough of it. And it's not going to make them any money if they don't sell any of them. But it's also, if there are specific practices that you don't like, we have the ability to not participate in that stuff. Pre-order bonuses for getting early access, like a 3-day period of early access. It's like, yeah, that's geared towards people who are just a status symbol to them, or content creators who want that, who didn't get a review code, so now they can get it and make their content, and they're gonna write it off on taxes for purchasing that game at a large price because they can put out a video that day when they get it. And like, that's a niche example, but there are examples for that stuff where people are going to do it because it'll end up benefiting them. But it's like, if you're going to do it for status, I don't think that that's like, I think that that's the exact reason that they're creating that stuff, so you can brag about it. And I think it's funny. I think it's ignorant. But there are examples where if people didn't participate in this stuff, they wouldn't be able to they wouldn't invest in it. They wouldn't create it and put it in their games, or they wouldn't to that extent that they're doing it now. It's up to us as individuals who act individually as a conglomerate. So taking each individual's decisions and then making that into the statistic. It's like you think for yourself and think original thoughts about each situation that comes up. So this situation here, they released this game and I don't think that it's in an acceptable condition for what I'm willing to pay for it. If they can fix it and they're still charging 70 and you think that that's something that it's worth it to you, then make that decision. And then also, if you're willing to wait for a sale and avoid the hype train for a little while, then do that also. And it's like, there are instances now that I feel it's kind of a scam where you really can't buy physical games. You can buy them on the Switch. They're technically physical and they are most of the time all on the cartridge. But that's like the last one. Like PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, some of them were on the disc, some of them were all like downloadable, and you could still insert them and they would download offline. So it's technically all that content's there, and it would download off the disk and unpack everything and take up the, you know, those gigabytes on your hard drive. But like now it's getting to the point where they're selling you stuff that's not even physical at all. And then they're saying that physical media is dying, so they're not investing into it. But it's like a self-created prophecy or a self-fulfilling prophecy here, where it's like you're limiting the availability of things and you're making it the worst possible way that a consumer could purchase it and buy it to benefit them. And then you're saying, well, we're ushering that out because it's not really working for us, because nobody's buying it. But there's a reason that nobody's buying it, because it doesn't make sense. It's not even on the cartridge anymore. It's not even on the disc anymore. It's just a disc that has a license on it. Like, we have the ability to refuse to buy that stuff, and that's going to end up being a scam for us too, because if you choose not to buy that physical media because none of it's on the disc or whatever, they're not going to print something with it on the disc. They're just going to say nobody wants it, so that we're going to go all digital. So it's like, really, we're kind of fucked either way. It's really crazy, and it makes me kind of upset. But at the same time, I have such a large backlog in so many video games from the past, and hard drives full of stuff from that I've downloaded, like on a PS4 Slim that I had won from work. And it's like, I filled that with like Sony's first party exclusives and then a couple other games that were really on sale. And then I disconnected it from the internet. It's like, that thing, as long as that PS4 works, it's going to have all that stuff on it. It's not connected to the internet. It doesn't update. It's done. It's basically just like a mini PC with a bunch of stuff on it. And then it will never connect to the internet, will never get taken away from me. It's disconnected. And then there are ways that you can do that. Like if I have the Steam Deck and it's full of all this stuff, and it's like that, if I want that to be just a straight up emulation device, I'll just disconnect it completely from the internet and call that's it. That's the way it's going to be until it dies. And I can pop it into another Steam Deck if I can buy another one, or I can, you know, try to figure out ways to make sure that this stuff is available to me. But like, it's not physical anymore. Like, that stuff is on hard drives and stuff, and it may be on a physical hard drive, but it's still not available for me to take out of a cartridge, to take out of a case and then put into a thing anymore. And it's like sad. It's sad. And the topic of the video was us being able to vote with our wallets. And it's like, how can you vote with your wallet if there's no choice of voting with your wallet in that situation? It's really like a sad affair. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, if you want to. Just did like a little rant. Probably do more of these at some point. Thank you.